hot topic right now. Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo Lopez, I heard he has officially relinquished the WBO title, which he just won from Josh Taylor.
Right.
So kind of feeding to this rumor of retirement unless he gets I think it was a 9-figure deal.
Yeah.
So he did an interview recently and he was talking about this, and I'm sure we could put some clips in here. Keep it PG-13 as possible because he really went way off on a limb on Gervonta Davis.
Sign a contract, let's say with Tank, and we face each other. They'll find a way to postpone the fight and keep postponing the fight, having me wait my time. And if I pull out, what's everybody gonna say? Teofimo pulled out.
Don't forget the rehydration clause he likes to do on guys.
That's a pussy move.
I know, I agree.
Tank, hold up, Gervonta, you a fucking pussy. You are a bitch. I don't care what anybody says. You can be all that rah-rah thug life and scream and jock your head on Chief Keith Sosa. Man, with your dick-sucking lips. Get out of here.
So, in a dream matchup, Gervonta, Teo, I'm not going to get too deep into it, but how do you see that looking, especially coming off Teo's recent performance? Do you think that's a good fight?
I do think that would be a good fight. If we're getting the Teo that performed the way he performed against Josh Taylor, for sure. Mm-hmm. Against what we've seen from Tank from time and time again, I think that would be an excellent fight. I do think Tank is just a step ahead of Teo, and I do think he'll probably stop Teo, if I'm being honest. Especially when we see Teo get dropped by Kambosos. We see him get dropped by
Sandor Martin.
I think Tank will stop. He has enough to get the job done. But I think it'll be a good fight nonetheless. I do think it'll be a good fight.
But what's kind of strange is I think Josh Taylor hits harder than Kambosos and Sandor Martin, and his punches couldn't phase Teo.
Yeah, I think that there's something there.
Okay.
I don't know, and power is relative, right? In a sense, because I think if you look at the knockdowns that Kambosos and Sandor Martin got Teo with, is when he was coming in, right? When he was coming in, that's how he got dropped. But against Josh Taylor, some of the punches was with Teofimo kind of being more defensive, right? Mm-hmm. Him back and forward, and he wasn't able to land flush on Teofimo. So I think that played a big part, and I'm not sure if it's because Josh Taylor is either somewhat injured or he's just weight drained. I'm not sure if that played a role, but because even with the Catterall fight, Catterall was walking through his punches also, so I'm not sure what's going on there.
Yeah. So Teo just put on an amazing performance, right? And you kind of think, okay, he's kind of got his marbles intact, but then it kind of looks like he's tripping again because, like I said, I think he went just too wild on Gervonta. I think it was unnecessary, but I'm not against him retiring. Listen, get your money, right? But I don't think he's going to stay retired because I think there's going to be too many lucrative fights out there. I don't know if it's possible to buy himself out the top ranked deal, maybe be his own free agent, kind of like jump to wherever the lucrative fights are, or even look at another promotional company. I know Regis just signed with like Matchroom Boxing because he said, the deal was just the best for him. So I don't know, but there's some good fights out there to be made. Now, the tricky thing is, will Gervonta fight Teo at 140? Because I don't see Teo coming back down to 135. Now,
that's a good question.
If he does that, Ryan has a legitimate argument to go on Twitter and start chatting up a storm. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. He's like, yo, come on. And then Tank may, the phrase is gonna come up when I do it, but I think Brian will be justified in being upset because he's like, you fighting him at 140, but you ain't fight me at 140. Although I do feel like Teo is definitely the more dangerous fighter in comparison to Ryan Garcia, if I'm being 100% honest. But I think it's going to eventually probably be at a catch weight. It would have to be. I think Gervonta Davis will know that as well. I think he'll be comfortable with that. So unless Teo is willing to submit in that regard, and then also you got to think about money too, because Teo, I'm pretty sure Teo will not. Teo may probably view himself as the A side against Tank Davis. If I'm being honest, he may be like, man, look, in his mind, he thinks he's a 2-time undisputed champion. So he's like, I'm more accomplished in the sport of arguably, right? Because you can probably argue it in the sport of boxing than you are, Tank. So I should be the A side. You know what I mean? So that's a whole nother dynamic there. And I don't see Teal being the type of person to really submit to the terms and conditions that Tank is going to kind of, submit.
Yeah.
Very
So
can't.
Tio is not the A side because he's not going to generate the most revenue.
He's
but
not. He's not.
if he were to argue that he's more accomplished, I don't necessarily think he's wrong. He's actually probably more accomplished than a lot of his peers and his contemporaries at the like 135, 140 weight class. You know, maybe you can nod Devin Haney for being undisputed, but then he can say you're not a 2 division world champion like myself. Do you know what I mean? But like Gervonta has like what, one major title in his career that was at 130. I think the 135 and 140, those were like regular champions. They weren't super championships, right? Ryan Garcia, I don't think's ever been a champion. Regis Prograis is a 2-time champion at 140, however, but he didn't hold belts in 2 divisions like Teofimo Lopez. Rolly, don't need that, no need to even go there.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying? Who else is there? Shakur is not a potential 140 pounder yet, you know what I'm saying? So I'll leave him out of this conversation. So Tio could say, listen, I'm more accomplished than my peers, and you guys need to pay respect to the takeover.
Yeah, because it's kind of it's very similar to the Errol Spence and Crawford situation early on, where Crawford was like, how are you the A side when I'm more accomplished than you are? I'm undisputed at 140. You know, I hold one belt at 147, but I've been stopping dudes. You know, you get what I mean? So I think, and I can see Tio being more unreasonable than Terrence Crawford, if I'm being honest. So I don't know how negotiations will work with that. I think that will hold a lot of things up.
Ironically enough, Floyd was saying this was the fight, Tank and Tio.
Yes.
So, you know, I kind of want to see if something's brewing now. Of course, you know, we know Tank has a situation. Can't wait to see him back out and, you know, training, hitting the gym. Just because I know Tank heard this, and I know Tank ain't gonna take kindly to this. So can't wait for him to be back, you know, in the world of boxing. You know, one of the brightest stars in boxing. So we don't never want to see anything negative happen to these guys. So I can't wait for Tank to be back out and just see what happens, you know, because Tio's gonna come out of retirement. I just don't know when or how it's gonna happen. But Floyd kind of looking like a prophet. You know, this might really be the matchup, and I think it's gonna be electric. 2 big punchers, slick guys, good defensively. Yeah, this
will
will be a
sell.
great fight. It'll sell. Like I said, they just got to figure out what weight class they to do it at. So once again, in the comments, Tio, Tank, who y'all got? What weight class should they do it at? Tell us. Like, comment, subscribe.